Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history.
Darkest winter in modern history. That from Dr. Rick Bright today, testifying before the House Energy and Commerce Committee in Washington. The doctor warning of a bleak outlook, including a possible strong second wave of COVID-19 in the fall. The United States currently has the largest outbreak in the world, with more than 1.3 million cases and more than 84,000 deaths. Let's bring in Jacqueline Alemany in Washington, political reporter and author of Power Up for the Washington Post. Jacqueline, good to see you. Thanks for this.
Thanks for having me.
Your take on what Dr. Bright had to say today?
Look, what Dr. Bright said during the hearing today was anticipated. It was these were complaints that he had outlined in an 89-page whistleblower complaint that he filed a month ago. And then, as you just noted, we read his opening statement last night that issued a really ominous warning and forecast that if the United States federal government didn't implement a national plan that included something more cohesive regarding testing and supplies, that we would have a dark winter ahead with a massive amount of death. We've already seen, nearly 80,000 Americans die from the coronavirus in the United States. So Bright's testimony this week was really a capstone on a lot of the testimonies that we've heard already on Capitol Hill from the nation's top public health officials.
We've obviously, heard a lot about Dr. Rick Bright, and he's on the cover, of Time magazine, as we know. We're just going to show to our viewers here in terms of, the way that America should reopen or not reopen, and, Time saying this is not the way to reopen. People like Rick Bright have come under fire from the Trump administration. In his case, fired over all of this. How do you think they're going to respond, Jacqueline, to what he said today? Darkest winter in modern history.
Yeah, well, we're already seeing the president respond in real time, tweeting during the testimony that Bright was a disgruntled, angry worker. We also saw the president last night take aim at Dr. Anthony Fauci, the administration's top public health official, saying that Fauci was trying to play all sides in his testimony that occurred earlier this week. The president clearly upset by some of Fauci's, cautious warnings to Congress that warned against opening up the United States really quickly as the president has tried to reopen the U.S. economy. But Bright has really echoed a lot of the complaints and reporting that we've seen drip out from the administration's response over the past few months, which is that, the plan around responding to the coronavirus has been really disorganized, focus on appeasing some of the administration's personal connections, whether that's Jared Kushner or HHS Secretary Alex Azar, and then, disorganization in general over supplying states with the necessary medical equipment. Bright outlines all of these issues in great detail.
I'm also curious about the political price this might be costing the president. Here we are, 3 months into this, or into our third month in any event, and you've got Donald Trump continuing with, sort of optimistic messaging, whereas you have people like Dr. Bright, Dr. Fauci, who are a lot more perhaps realistic in their assessments here. What's happening politically to the president amid all this?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is really a fundamental tension between the scientists in this administration and some of the political motivations from the president. His reelection rests on having a really strong economy. The coronavirus has obviously thrown a huge wrench in that, with record Great Depression levels of unemployment. I think that there's sort of this idea that the president's trying to push, that the scientists in his administration, don't want to open up the country for their own political motivations, but actually these are decisions that are being based in science. But again, I think it's taking a toll on the president already. We're seeing in polling that was released this morning that the American public trusts public health officials more than they trust the president. His approval numbers have taken a hit, and we've also seen the Republican governors who have rushed to reopen their states quickly than Americans are comfortable with take a hit in their approval ratings as well. So that's, Florida Governor DeSantis and Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. And I think that you're already seeing senators who are running in vulnerable elections this November back away from the president and privately and quietly warn him that the coordinated response needs to improve and that the president should reel back some of his public statements.
Jacqueline, great to have you with us in Canada. I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Jacqueline Alemany, she's with the Washington Post.